Good. Okay. At this time, we'll call the September 16th, 2024 Planning Board meeting to order. We have quorum for this evening. Let's please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will move into item number 2A on tonight's agenda, approval of the meeting minutes from the August 19th, 2024 Planning Board meeting. The purpose of this agenda item is to consider approval of the minutes from the Planning Board meeting on August 19th, 2024. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? Does anyone have any changes or corrections? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I move they be approved as presented and recommended.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Into item 4A. No, we have to open up the public hearing first, right? No. All right, public hearings are a time for petitioners to present requests and for the public to state their concerns and voice opinions in favor of or in opposition to these requests. If you intend to speak, please make sure you have signed in on the public hearing sheet, sign-in sheet at the podium. Please clearly state your name, address, and whether you are for or against the request for the record. Please limit your comments to only 3 minutes in order for all that wish to speak can be heard in a timely manner. Public hearing item 4A, zoning map amendment REZ 2023-04. Further information will be provided by staff.
Thank you, Ms. Vice Chair. Good evening, Board. I am submitting the agenda abstract and supporting documents into the official record of the town. The first item before you tonight is REZ 2023-04, a rezoning requested by Lock 7 Development at 614 Old Honeycutt Road, PIN number 0666688927. This rezoning is a total of 17.5 acres from the commercial mixed-use zoning district to the residential mixed-use zoning district. Accompanying this rezoning request is a land use plan amendment request from the Community Activity Center designation to the Neighborhood Activity Center designation. Staff's recommendation is as follows. Staff recommends approval of the proposed zoning map amendment as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the following reasons. Number 1, the requested zoning district supports Land Use Plan Policy 3.1, create a comprehensive, connected, and continuous network of green space. Number 2, the requested zoning district supports Land Use Plan Policy 7.1, establish a discernible neighborhood structure. Number 3, the requested zoning district supports the Land Use Plan Policy 7.2, encourage transitional uses and intensities in and around project boundaries. Number 4, the master plan and narrative included with the request ensure the future uses fit into the development context and demonstrate compliance with the zoning conditions offered and many goals of the 2040 Land Use Plan. And number 5, a development agreement has been submitted and accepted by town staff, which clarifies the development obligations of the town and developer and defines the non-residential development prioritization. I am happy to answer any questions.
All right, do any of the board members have any questions for staff before we open the public hearing? If there are no questions or comments, I would like to open the public hearing at this time. Ava, do we have anyone signed up to speak for this case?
Yes, David Gorman. Will you please come forward? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Gorman. I'm the property owner, and I'm also the applicant. Do I need to give my address? Sorry.
Yes.
I live at 3424 Williamsboro Court in Raleigh, North Carolina. So I'm excited to be here tonight. Thank you all for your time. I'm a partner at Lock 7, and we develop residential and mixed-use projects in the Triangle region, Asheville, North Carolina, and in Washington, D.C. are our 3 markets. So a little background on this particular property. This board and the council previously approved another plan, which was apartments over first floor non-residential in 2022, using the current CAC designation. However, shortly after that was approved, costs escalated, interest rates escalated, and that project was no longer viable. We also started meeting with potential tenants, and they, on the commercial side, and they specifically said that they wanted a different design, which incorporated more standalone buildings with outdoor space. And then we started meeting with neighbors, and they relayed to us that they wanted townhomes as a natural buffer between the commercial to the north and the residential single family to the south. So we started, going back to the drawing board, meeting with staff, meeting with constituents, and we designed this new plan that we're excited about. So it works with the NAC designation, which we think is more appropriate for the following reasons. The CAC was more geared towards larger parcels of 40 acres or greater. Ours is only 17. Also, NAC still provides for a mix of uses, but on a smaller scale, which is more applicable. And also, the NAC allows for the townhomes, which provide a natural buffer with the single family to the south. It still provides for commercial on the full Purfoy and Old Honeycutt frontages. And also, we worked with the town staff and the town's attorney to finalize a developer agreement, which is similar to the agreements for other form-based mixed-use developments that have recently been proposed. Just jumping very briefly into the description, it's 56 townhomes. It'll have at least 51,000 square feet of non-residential space. It's situated around a common green. We envision the common green as being a community space, which will have an event pavilion, a gathering area, and an outdoor plaza. This new design allows for the non-residential to have patios for cafes and restaurants and really make this a destination. We also have already selected a townhome builder, and they designed a custom townhome for the site that was specifically designed to work with the non-residential to create a cohesive project. We'll also be building a greenway connection. And then just closing up, why we'd love your support. The staff found that the project meets the intent of the LDO in the community land use plan. Here's an opportunity for residents to have high quality, well-located homes, and an opportunity for businesses to have a walkable, vibrant community. And it's pedestrian friendly, and we're very excited about it for both current and future residents. Thank you all for your time. Are there any questions I can answer?
Bump in, Dave.
Sure.
You've been a developer for some time now and do some awesome projects. Looking at the phasing plan, right, that's on this document that was sent. This is saying the commercial is going to be, the road and the commercial will be built first, correct? And then residential coming afterwards?
So the plan is to mass grade the site and put in the infrastructure for the road, the curb and gutter, and then the utilities. Roughly half of the residential, or sorry, of the non-residential will be constructed first. And then the townhomes will be constructed, and then the balance of the non-residential will be completed.
And
Brent, can you please move the microphone where we can hear you? Thank
sorry.
you.
Yep,
Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Have you already talked to a couple of retail tenants? I'm assuming that conversations already been had. And I know you can't disclose, but have conversations been had already?
We have, and there's definitely interest. One of the challenges we're finding is that leasing space, before it gets approved, is hard.
Correct.
And a lot of the tenants we're talking to want to see construction activity on the site.
Correct.
So we've had a lot of warm leads, and feedback's been good, but we're really waiting to have those formal conversations until we're further along.
Until rezoning is approved.
Yeah, and really until the earth-moving equipment moves in.
Correct. And these, on this document, I'm sliding through, and I'm guessing these are are these the images for the retail? Is this 100% the design that you're planning on going with, or is that just kind of?
No, these are purely conceptual. So we wanted to get like a look and a vibe for the site.
Yeah.
But since we're still figuring out the exact users, very much, you know, if one of the parcels is a restaurant that has a outdoor patio, for example,
Yeah.
that would change the design.
Yeah.
So these are just sort of
Conceptual, at this point.
a thought of what it could look like.
And just a question, just for you specifically, when you're doing developments, right? Is this generally the phasing that you would do for a mixed-use development?
Well, look, you want to have rooftops there to support the retail,
Correct.
but then also the retail can provide, you know, it can attract people to want to come and hang out and live there.
Yeah.
So I think the plan that we've worked out, which kind of has a little bit of both at the same time, is a good mix because the two can support each other.
Okay. And I'm assuming you guys have already discussed some sort of which buildings are going to be built first and so on and so forth, or is that still?
Yeah, so without getting too deep into the
Yeah.
agreement, there's some flexibility in which buildings get constructed first.
Yeah.
But the focus is really on the buildings that face the exterior along the Purfoy and Old Honeycutt frontages.
Okay. Okay, I'm good. I think I'm good.
Okay.
I'll quit prying in. I will one more question actually. This center, like civic space, is that going to be turf?
That's a great question. So do you have a feedback on that, or?
I just think it will, man.
I think it'll. So I've talked to other developers that have put grass in common spaces and found it extremely hard to keep alive and
Yeah.
maintained. So I do think turf is a great option there.
Yeah.
But we're looking at both and looking at the pros and cons of each.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great design, and I think the project is it's a good looking project, especially with the townhouses. But I think the the images that we're looking at from the townhouses to the retail, to keep that level of luxury, it can't be grass.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just would make sense for it to be turf. It'd be like the North Hills kind of feel, to keep it that way, but also to keep it clean, to have the irrigation and things like that. I just think that that's something that needs to be probably discussed a little bit more, because that could quickly turn this beautiful project into a maintenance issue that we have to deal with later, or then pay someone to come and turf the ground that should have already been there.
I think it's a great suggestion, and I think we're leaning towards turf as well.
Okay.
I want to stop short of committing to anything.
Yeah, no,
I think that's a great idea.
But just from a construction perspective.
Yeah, I think, North Hills, I went with turf. I think it's gone well.
Yeah.
I mean, the downtown Cary Park has grass that is muddy.
Yeah.
We're just kind of looking at other precedents and seeing what's working and what isn't.
No, okay. No, that's good. I think I'm good on questions.
I have one question, and this is something that I just thought about, so I haven't been able to do any research, so this might take staff to step in and provide some clarity. But it seems like when we were doing the rezoning last year for this same property, the neighborhood, when you guys went in and talked to the neighborhood, there was certain ask from that neighborhood. It seems like maybe a taller fence or a little bit more of a setback, and you guys had already... We didn't include, they weren't conditions, but you had already included those in your master plan. Is this the same? Does this sound familiar at all, Pam?
There is a fence on the south side, isn't there?
Yeah, we carried over anything that had been in the
Okay.
previous plan onto this one. So
I think it's like
the
8
height
foot.
and type of the fence.
Some of the conversation previously had been there was an amphitheater concerned, and I think the neighbors were seeing it as like Red Hat versus just a little neighborhood. There was some kind of intensity concerns as far as where parking and things like that would go. And I don't think that was ever intended to be a Red Hat type amphitheater.
No.
Right.
It just seems like I just remember the neighborhood had said, was there any way you could do X? And you guys promised.
There was a question about the fence,
Okay.
very much. And the notes from that master plan were carried over onto this one about
Okay.
the fence and the...
And so previously, adjacent to those residential homes to the south, those were multi-story vertical mixed-use buildings. So those were much taller than what these townhomes will be.
Okay. Okay, just as long as we're carrying over the same things that were asked by the existing neighborhood.
And they did have to have additional neighborhood meetings for this, so.
Okay.
Conversation has been had.
Okay, perfect, okay. All right, do we have any other questions?
Sorry, I got
for-
another question, Dave. I'm sorry. So this is a nice size retail commercial space, and I asked this question last month to another applicant. Have you been talking to any firms in regards to like land developers to help, or land brokers to bring in developers to help sell those parcels off?
So, for the townhouse lots or for the
For
non-residential?
the non-residential lots, yeah.
Sorry, residential?
No, non-residential.
Oh,
yeah. Like, have you? I mean, I'm sure you have. I just want to know.
In terms of like valuing them or understanding sort of the
Or
market.
just maybe
demand.
bringing in a tenant from somewhere, maybe someone just, because I feel like you're gonna piece off some of these parcels, right? Like you're gonna have
So
a
this-
developer, someone come in and be like, hey, we want to put our Starbucks here. Like, can we purchase this lot from you and yada yada yada?
Sure.
Go from there.
So it's designed in such a way that if we were to parcel them off, we could.
Yeah.
But our intent is not to do so.
Okay.
Is really to see the project.
So you're the sole gonna stick through the whole way through here and just
That's
bring
what we
in-
intend.
and just bring in partners, but stay on board.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I like that.
And
okay.
also, we have talked to a lot of brokers, so we
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
want to make sure we're putting forth a plan that's viable and
Yeah.
realistic, but we're not planning on selling them.
On giving it to them to then just do whatever they want to do with. You're gonna kind of see it through, make sure it finishes correct.
Right. So there are going to be language in the master plan about the materials and cladding, and
Yeah.
so like there would be sort of control over what gets built there.
Yeah.
But we also do like the idea of being in control of that process ourselves, which is what our intent is.
Okay. Okay. No, I appreciate you explaining that. Thank you.
Sure.
Helps. Now I'm done.
If you come up with anything else, I'm still here.
good.
Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ava, do we have anyone else that would like to speak?
Yes, Miss Sarah Van Every.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Van Every, 1404 Alluvial Court, Fuquay. Resident, just want to say I'm here to speak in favor of the petition. I think this is an appropriate transition. I support this, and to just give my sort of personal and professional anecdote, I think that you do need the rooftops first. That is my experience in this profession, is when you have the rooftops, then that will follow. So just as a side note, but I'm here as a resident. I live south of the site. I'm not an adjacent neighbor. I'm a newer-ish resident, but I'm in support. I think this is appropriate for the town. And so just wanted to lend my support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, do we have anyone else that would like to speak on this item?
No.
Okay, so at this time, I would like to close the public hearing and bring it back to the board and ask if there are any additional questions or comments for staff before entering into a motion. Entertain a mo-
I just can I comment on that?
You can.
I'm sorry, because this is kind of, yeah. So I would just suggest staff that we just kind of hold it in regards to the design of the retail to try to keep it close to what we see in the images, because I think getting to your standard spec commercial isn't going to invite what we want, and I think if it's built the way that's in that design, I think that attracts, like your Kavas and your things like that, because that's kind of what they tend to go into in regards to retail wise, right? They don't want to just go into your red brick kind of commercial building. So if we can keep it, or maybe have some sort of talks or agreements on materials for the outside of the retail space in the commercial, I think it would be a really good project, honestly.
Right, in all likelihood, a unified design document will have to be submitted probably with the first
Yeah.
site plan that'll
Yeah,
kind of
just
tie it
kinda
all
what they're
together.
looking at, and just kind of maybe tweak that, but I do think it would be a really good, and knowing just, some of Dave's work and Carrie and stuff that he does, I think it would be a really good project, but I think that's a piece that needs to really be captured, because the townhouses are gonna be beautiful, right? I feel like the retail has to stay above, like at that level or above. We can't get any spec level sort of buildings.
Yeah, the bonus is this is also form-based development. So each of those individual lots will still need to meet the form-based standards, which is going to push those buildings up to the primary frontage, and they're going to be pedestrian accommodating, right?
Things like that, yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's kind of the question I had. Is it really a concern for us at this, when we're approving this, we see what's on the master plan. I think that's the advantage of these form-based, a lot of zonings, we don't get to see even this level of detail. But the fact is, because it's part of the actual zoning, they're actually, this is what they've signed up for. Now, obviously, staff has been given some leeway to adjust and change as necessary, maybe, negotiate some changes if needed. But for the most part, I just guess I would like the confidence that when we see this, that this is truly within the limits that we've set, because we haven't, it's not a hard code, well, you said you were going to make it X, and it's, there is some flexibility, but not actually a whole lot. We've given the staff, I think, more leeway than maybe previously the town did, but at this point, this is an awful lot of say that we have because of form-based development, because there's a master plan here, that straying from that too far would actually require them to come back and get the zoning fixed again.
Right.
Which is the nice thing about that. That's what I like about this, is that we've got them kind of on the hook for the things that we would in a regular rezoning we would not be able to kind of we wouldn't have any leverage. Or in case, we've actually seen that in cases where things didn't get zoned because they were the right zoning for what they wanted to do, and then we had no say, right? So this is actually, I just want to make sure that I kind of understood that.
So in the narrative section, 6.2, the non-residential development conditions, they do, number 2 talks about how the non-residential buildings will be designed to show an urban contemporary style. And number 5 actually does speak to the unified design document shall be submitted with the first site plan submission for the non-residential development. It will provide standards for the different construction types, building materials, colors, building form, and architectural and design features, and a minimum appearance standard that will unify the proposed development. So that is one of the zoning conditions, basically, in their master plan.
Yeah, I was just kind of, it's, I just wanted to understand that I had that understanding still correct. Thank you.
One question. I was trying to find the map. I'd seen it earlier and can't find it now, but do you have roughly like what percentage residential to commercial? It's, from what I recall, it's fairly split down the middle.
Right, so there is it's 50-50.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, but in this zoning district, that civic space can be added to the commercial, the non-residential, to be that 50%.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I thought, because it looked like, from what I remember, and it was somewhere in the stack over here, is residential, commercial, and then in the middle of that commercial was the civic. There's like a square in there for civic. Okay, just making sure.
Is there anything that would prohibit like a grocery store or something going in here, into this space?
No, so
in here?
Just like all our other permitted uses, our permitted use table has a list of allowable uses in the form-based districts. There is a caveat, there is a note added to this, that basically the configuration of the commercial space is conceptual in nature, because obviously we don't know when users come in, they might have slightly different, I mean, these are all nice little rectangles, right? Yeah. But as long as it still meets the form-based district. So again, the form-based standards are going to be a more urban, pedestrian-minded, forward-facing building and things like that, with parking to the rear. And if you can bring a grocery store in and still meet those standards.
Yeah, they don't want to be placed like that. So it kind of tells its own story. Okay. Now just checking, because that would, I mean, this is more like a community space. So getting a tenant like that would be kind of, I feel like, tough to have a grocery store inside of like a civic type of.
Yeah, I mean, there are some situations where, like a Trader Joe's and all, has gone into a more urban situation. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's just true. It's just, that's true.
There's a Harris Teeter in North Hills.
And North Hills. But it's hidden. But it is hidden. It's not, but it's because it's hidden. It's not a standalone building, so the traffic is hidden underneath, and the carts are underneath, right? So it's not out. And
Academy Village that you've seen has a grocer in it too. So I mean, again, if they're willing to develop under the form-based standards,
they'll still they go through there and pull off. Okay. Basic to the same. Okay.
It's a permitted use.
Understandable. Understandable. Okay.
If nobody else has anything, I'll make a motion that works. Move to recommend approval of REZ-2023-04, a zoning map amendment for 614 Old Honeycutt Road from the commercial mixed-use CMU zoning district to residential mixed-use RMU zoning district, and the corresponding land use plan amendment for the Community Activity Center CAC classification to the Neighborhood Activity Center NAC classification, as it is reasonable and in the best interest of the public for the reasons identified by staff.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 6A, the planning staff report. The purpose of this agenda item is to receive information on the disposition of the planning board's recommendations to the town board of commissioners since the August 19th, 2024 planning board meeting. Are there any questions for staff?
I just have one question, more about a logistical question. I'm happy to talk after about it. I know when I was reading through the town board agenda, it was talking about for those, it was the developer agreement notice. That's something like the applicant would need to publish it in the newspaper or something, say, hey, we're having a public hearing for this developer agreement.
The town advertises public hearings.
Okay, okay, just making sure, because I know that board meeting with the town's going to be a large one, all of these, and this may well be on that agenda too, so I just want to make sure there's
Developer agreements are advertised and will be a separate public hearing than
right.
The rezoning.
Gotcha. Okay. So I want to say if this one tonight gets the notice out there, it's going to be a really large meeting for the town board meeting. A lot of big projects.
It does raise a question. Developer agreements, we don't actually look at them here, right, for the planning board?
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Because the town board hasn't officially seen it yet.
Okay.
All right, well, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The meeting is adjourned.